Speech. Thank you. I made a commitment to write speech after our recent trip to Tulum, realizing that tone, facial expression, little tight throat, eye roll, all signal judgments, aggression, condemnation, criticism. And I didn't like that. I didn't like that. I don't like that in me. I don't like that in others. I notice it in others way more than I notice it in me because it's you. That's mostly why. And then I get to judge you some more. It's perfect. But it's a perfect cycle of samsara, actually, is what it's perfect, right? It's a perfect cycle of samsara. What? The suffering of the continuous cycle of birthing and deathing, of judging, separating, isolation, aloneness, finding our way back, doing it again, blah, blah, blah. And we all get exhausted and worn out from it. So I made this commitment to write speech, and probably within minutes of that, there the snarky something was. And of course, we all know that this is the work, right? Okay, I recognized it. I saw it there. I appreciated the view. I celebrated my recognition, and I began again. That's the work. But in the teachings that we just went over, there's a whole other practice that I forget about, that I actually deeply love, and I want to do today. And that practice is the Tonglen of speech. I love this practice. Why? Because I feel like, okay, I caught it, but now I'm taking the pause. Now I'm actually breathing in a few times. Now I'm actually using the moment of recognition for what? As a bodhisattva, to free all beings, not just me from my hooked and contracted heart mind. And so this practice is the one we're going to use today. The slogan, remember those slogans by Atisha that Pema uses, things like drive all blames into one, be grateful for everything, right? Remember those slogans? One of the slogans is use every breath to the good. Use every breath to the good. When I first heard that slogan, it kind of knocked me over. Like every breath? I don't know. I have trouble using every day to the good. That's a lot of 60,000 breaths in. How am I going to use every breath to the good? Well, what it says is, if you notice a moment of awakening, a moment of aspiration, a moment of clarity, a moment of patience, a moment of generosity, breathe it in, acknowledge it, recognize it, and send it out. Send out the good, right? Oh, yay. How beautiful is this? I will benefit, others will benefit. How amazing is that? But it also says, when I notice a moment of just getting it wrong, failed, ridiculous, there I was, just in a rage, I just lost it all together. We can also use that, right? That's the essential Tonglen practice. We can pause, recollect the moment of suffering that we must be in order to cultivate that at all. You have to be in suffering. It comes from nothing else, folks. You are not righteous and right. Forget about it. Let that go right away. This is a moment of suffering, mine and others. I also breathe that in, right? May all beings who are being snarky right now be freed from this affliction, be freed from this contraction, be freed from this habit. And we breathe that in first for ourselves. This is tricky work, right? First for ourselves in our suffering, acknowledging this as a moment of suffering. This is the first step in self-compassion. Acknowledging this as a moment of suffering, not as a dope, not as a just can't get it right, but actually I am in suffering. I am victim right this very moment, just as a newborn baby. I'm victim to these causes and conditions. that I have become hooked by. And then by virtue of being willing to acknowledge and take that in, we transform that and then offer it again back to others. May all those who can't get it together with their right speech be free from this affliction. So today and this week, as we are preparing for retreat, we're going to be using those breaths, as many as we can gather for in a moment of goodness. Breathe it in, enjoy it, utilize it to the fullest extent, and send it out. Give it to all those others who don't have that breath, who don't have that ease, who don't have that joy, who don't have that patience, right? And we say, may all those may I rejoice for myself and all those who have it, and then may I offer it to all those who do not, to the benefit of all beings. Do we get this idea? I want to check in. We forget, don't we? Now, this is probably not the first time most of us have heard about this practice. And it's not today or yesterday that you were doing it, was it? No, you weren't, because we all forget, right? But we're going to go back to that. We're going to focus on that as our essential practice for this week. Breathing in the good, recognizing it is good, rejoicing. It's one of our boundless abodes, rejoicing, and then offering that joy to others. And when we're breathing in the shit, you breathe it in, you are as wholehearted there. This is what we're going to notice. We tend to go, ooh, I don't like that one quite as much. I like breathing in the good, sending out the good, but we're going to breathe in the difficulty. And we're going to breathe it in, not because we see it out there, right? We like that level of Tonglen. Don't, well, oh, I see you're suffering. I will breathe that in for you, and then I'll send out goodness. No, we're going to notice it in ourselves. We're going to, there I am making that face. There I am with righteous thought. There I am with feeling for myself. This is key. Feeling for myself in the cause of suffering that I am in. And we cannot forget that suffering, right? But that righteous mind, that craving mind goes, no, right? And metabolizes it in a way that's actually going to continue it. So we're going to practice that today. I'm going to read chat and then we'll get ready to go. So thank you for that. When you can't come for the entirety, you come for what you can come for. Nobody can usually come for the entirety based on the craziness of our lives, based on our householding tasks, but you can come, and you can come for some amount of time. This is being offered to you and others twice a year. That's all, right? In addition to the all days. And so we do our best. I'm going to ask that the whole community begin to show up, just like in this breath work, each time. For some amount of time, we're making this possible for you by changing our model. We changed it for you, not me, because I like week-long retreat. I would rather be in week-long retreat. I don't love Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because I feel like I'm just settling in and then back I go. I'll be doing that in the summer. We'll talk more about that later and how you can join that when it works for you. All right, so let's get ready to sit. I will be ringing the bell. As in all practice, we have to first begin in establishing stable mind. You can't just run off. This is one of my objections to some of the teachings now. You cannot do a 5-minute Tonglen practice. You can't. You can't do that without a stable mind. And if you do it, you'll choke because you're not stabilized enough to breathe in the difficulty, breathe it out. You're not stable enough to even recognize that it's difficult without judging, blaming, projecting onto something. So we always begin in the same way. And it takes, as we know in the science, at least 8 to 12 minutes to establish stable mind. Well, you've got a 20-minute practice now. I don't care what you did. right? 60 minutes is our 911 work. That's our 911. We're just doing that to try to stay alive. 60 breaths, right? Not 60 minutes, 60 breath practice. We do that just to go get me somewhere, remember the path, pave it again. But really, without longer practice, this will not turn out to be transformative. Okay, here we go. So just finding a way towards the body, just feeling the sense of the body sitting here, and try to loosen it up a little bit, shake it out. Sitting on top of knots is not that beneficial. And as we breathe into this human body, we remember, don't we, the truth of suffering and its end. That's right. Here in this human life, this precious gift of a human life, with all of that, there is the truth of suffering and the path to its end. You can't help not know that because you just turned towards the body that had an itch here and an ache there and a burning ear and my hair's on fire and my belly's gurgly, right? That's the reality of this human life. And so we turn towards and just honor the reality. There is the truth of suffering and a path to its end. And then we commit ourselves. And in this amount of time, 60 breaths, 60 minutes, or 60 years, commit to ending that suffering. However you say that, you commit that wholeheartedly. And that's your aspiration. That's going to invite the Bodhi heart. And so we're going to rest in that for several minutes. The part of you that got your rear end here to sit still, just like this, towards the end of suffering. Establishing the posture and stillness. And then finding a deep in-breath, breathing in as deeply as you can, gathering all the knots, all the tangles, and then breathing them out. And just feeling that increased ease. We're going to do it one more time. And then finding that breath again, big, deep in-breath, breathing in. Gathering up all the habits, all the afflictions, breathing them out. And then resting in this body breath awareness. Now, the Buddha himself says, well, you're not going to be able to just hit the target on the first breath. So don't expect that of yourself. And so we're invited just to feel the sense of the body as a whole. Sitting, knowing you're sitting, and breathing. You can sweep the breath through the body, touch into contact points, the feet, the seat, the hands, and the head, getting a sense of the sitting posture and this body. You can feel the whole body breathing. And so we turn the mind towards the body, and then we place the mind in body breath awareness. And rest there. And there is both mindful and compassion training that begins immediately. Because we notice and recognize the nature of the unattended mind, the movement, the judgments, the opinions, the preferencing, the craving, the habits. And this is not the problem, this is the practice. We notice, and with compassion, with friendliness, with kind and gentle attention, we invite the mind back home to the body, real body, body experience, out of thinking into being. And one half breath in, you notice the mind moving again into thinking. And we smile once again, and once again with compassion. Gently escort the attention back to the breath. The breath where? Well, the breath anywhere you can find it. We notice the experience of the in breath and its sensations, and the out. As we keep the body still, and we do so on purpose, it offers a stable base for the mind. And though the mind will invite movement, by virtue of its movement, we commit ourselves to that stillness. The still container in which the breath moves and the mind comes home to refuge. With each out breath, releasing a little more, seeing if we can let go of all of that contractedness held by the mind and body. And with established, stable mind, we shift the attention now from breath awareness up into the area of the heart space. We begin to breathe in and out from the area of the physical and or emotional and or subtle body or very subtle body energetic heart space. See what you can make contact with. Begin with the physical body itself. And we're going to begin this exchanging the breath practice right here. As you breathe into the heart space, physical heart space, see what you notice. If you notice a tightness, a contractedness, a tension, a pang, an ache, a heaviness, a burning, breathe it in. And as you breathe it in, if you touch into that unpleasant or the difficult, breathe it in and wish yourself ease. May I be free from this distress. And if you breathe into the heart space and it's neutral, just leave it alone. That's beautiful, stable heart mind. Building a foundation. And if we breathe in and we notice ease, we notice calm, we notice joy, lightheartedness, we offer this as well to ourselves. May I rejoice at this good fortune and use this to the greatest benefit. And we do so first by offering that energy, that joy, that connectedness to ourselves. Let it move throughout the whole body, nourishing, nurturing, so that we might continue the practice. You'll notice that we need to pay particular attention to the Vedana, the feeling tones, pleasant, neutral, or unpleasant. The particular physical sensations may be very subtle. We stay in the neutral and pay closer attention. And in fact, I was just doing that and noticed that my neutral was actually quite positive. It wasn't neutral at all. I am resting actually in a fair amount of ease at this breath. May I rejoice at my good fortune and offer this to the whole of my mind. And may this whole body, this whole mind, this whole heart have that ease. If you're noticing an unpleasant sensation, be watchful of the habit to assume that all sensations then will be unpleasant. This is not the truth or the path. In the moment of unpleasant, may I recognize unpleasant, and may I feel for myself. May I offer myself compassion, kindness, freedom from affliction. And then may I let it go and begin again. We have a tendency to propagate one experience into the other. That's called papancha, to proliferate the experience so that it becomes the whole experience each breath. This is not required. And with mindfulness and compassion, we can immediately break the cycle. Where we offer ourselves mindfulness and compassion, we do not propagate samsara. I'm noticing a little uncomfortable pang off to the right side of my chest. And in the recognition, just simply feeling for myself in this moment of discomfort. May I unbind and free myself right now from any narrative, from any second arrow, from any furthering of the affliction by blaming myself or by rejecting and pushing away the truth of the present moment. It's here. I acknowledge. I offer myself compassion, care. And then I rest and release in the out breath and begin again. You'll notice that it takes several breaths once we make contact to make the offering. It's like working a stick shift versus automatic. We're not so practiced or refined that we can catch it each breath, and that's just fine. May I be free from this distress. Or may I use this moment of ease or goodness? May I use both to the benefit? I'm either resting in the goodness that is already available, or I'm cultivating goodness even with the difficulty by offering that as an antidote, cultivating open heartedness, clear seeing mind, and a softened body, no matter what we encounter. Moments we like or moments we don't like. Really drink it in. We have a tendency to short shrift ourselves by half breathing, losing the breath, or not making the full offering to ourselves in the goodness. We also tend to over focus on the negative, on the unpleasant. Equalize the breath. We're then going to expand now beyond the physical felt sense, opening the container of awareness beyond the physical to include thoughts or emotions. We don't let go of the physical. We just create a larger container in which the physical is also present, but now including thoughts, pleasant thoughts, neutral thoughts, or unpleasant thoughts. We keep our attention in the heart space, in the heart center. At this phase in the practice, you may not be having a lot of thoughts. And if that's the case, stay in the awareness of Vedana, pleasant or unpleasant, as it relates to mind states. If you're recognizing mostly ease, breathe it in, rejoice. And then we're going to begin not only offering that to ourselves, to the whole of our mind, body, being, but we're going to radiate that out. That goodness is going to let it flow out beyond this sense of this separate self, this I, so that all beings may be nourished, all beings may benefit. We can radiate it out with a phrase: may all beings benefit. May all beings have this ease, this goodness. May all beings be happy or safe or free. See what works for you. The other way to do it is to make yourself an offering, the offering. You become the very host. I actually love this from the Tibetan tradition. I simply become available nutriment. May those who need ease, may they get it from me. May my ease become their ease. And I open myself. I'm no longer a separate container. I am really simply a moment of goodness, a vitamin, right? A supplement in some way, making myself completely available to whatever's needed, wherever it's needed. And then we change that phrasing a little bit, don't we? We say, may this goodness be a benefit to all those in need, not just myself, but to anyone who is in difficulty, in challenge, with suffering. And then others may come to mind. As I said that, two people just came to mind. And then we can actually make a specific offering. May you benefit from this ease. And I can send it out directly. We breathe it in. We make contact with that goodness. And then on the out breath, we can send it out. And I'm sending it directly to this person. On the out breath, on the medium of the breath, I send the goodness and the wish. May you be happy and free from suffering. And we can do that for several breaths. And then come back to the breath, checking in again. And making the appropriate offer. If you're noticing that you're feeling depleted or exhausted, if there's a weariness or confusion, stay with yourself. Breathe in, make contact with whatever is there. Now, as it relates to the physical body, to thoughts, so we can include emotions. And then make an appropriate offering. May I be free from this distress. Breathe that in, offering yourself compassion, kindness, and care. And then, if it so moves, you'll sense it. You may feel like I can even extend this now to all those just like me who feel this twingy neck, who have this thought that I am worthless, who have doubt about myself, the practice, the teachings, or whether there's any benefit to any of this at all. May I offer myself kindness, compassion, relief, or some form of good medicine. Breathe it in. Make real contact. And then send it to yourself or yourself and others. And we'll continue like this for the next several moments. You can begin to see that you can use everything as the path, cold or hot, comfortable or uncomfortable, wandering mind or stable mind. You can see that we can, of course, even use the neutral, stabilizing our own mind. We can offer this to others as well. Every breath and every moment, a moment of opening, a moment of offering. May we all have happiness and the causes for happiness. Breathe it in and send it out. May we all be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. Breathe it in. And send out the good medicine. May we recognize and rejoice at the gift of this precious human life and this possibility for awakening. May we breathe in this joy and send it out to all beings. May they too recognize and rejoice. And be of benefit. May we all rest and dwell in those large, expanded, open arms and open heart of equanimity. Free from all affliction by using it. The pleasant, the unpleasant, and the neutral. Using everything towards the end of suffering. O bodhicitta, precious and sublime. May you arise where you have not yet come to be. All these neutral, unconscious moments. And where you have arisen, may you never diminish, but grow and flourish, breath by breath. And may this practice today contribute and continue until all beings are happy and free. So be it. We forget and then we remember. And that's why we practice. That's why we practice. Any questions about this practice? We can take it in its parts. If you can't hold the whole thing, hold the physical body. Notice moments of comfort, offer it up. Notice of discomfort, offer it up. And begin by remembering to offer to yourself. This is a big key. We tend to be a little better at offering it to others and a little less good at offering it to ourselves, but it has to work in its right order. So you've got to begin by offering it first to yourself. If you can't do that, you can't get to others. And so be watchful. You'll get depleted quickly. You'll be looking for an outcome or a result that may not happen, and then you'll notice frustrations, impatience, or even worse. So pay attention. I am going to put up the registration link. And let me see. Oh, I think Carrie's got it right there. Yep. Great news. Thank you. Any comments or questions about this as the practice for our week? It's nice when we remember, isn't it?
Die.
Yes.
It's Robin.
Yes. Good morning. Robin, you're cutting out, so you may. I see that you're unmuted, but you're not. Can anybody else hear Robin?
I know you're. Can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay. I moved into a different spot in the house. I'm doing this intensive therapy program. And one of the things that I've been having extreme difficulty is sitting with my feelings. Like I'll feel it in my body, the tightness in my chest, and I'll identify the feeling. And the next thing I'll do is intellectualize it. I just immediately leave from there. I haven't quite figured out all the reasons why I do it, but this was really good for me because I could sit a little longer with my feelings of, today was some sadness from some things that I've experienced. And so it was it will be a good combination of therapy and meditation to try to see if I can sit with those feelings, and in combination with the sadness, you sitting with the joy, like knowing that those things are that I'm able to sit with both of them.
Yes.
Not easy to do.
We don't like unpleasant. And
No, we don't.
no. So whatever else about sadness, can we experience it in the body? Just the tightness, the heaviness, the ache of it, and let that be. And really just open a space and a heart for, right, letting that be as it is, without then going, but this is, I shouldn't feel this way, or how long am I going to feel this way, or
Right.
other people don't feel this way. Well, none of that's true, by the way. And the truth is, you will not only feel that, you'll feel sadness for the moments or breaths you do, and then you'll notice by the very opening to sadness, sadness actually shifts and becomes more workable, because even in the face of sadness, compassion is arising.
Yeah,
And we can make contact with that. The part of you,
definitely.
right, can feel for myself and become and stay maybe just a little more open-hearted by not just pushing it away, by not just distracting, by not just changing the channel, by just that willingness to stay. We see that as a radical act of compassion. I can't even remember the phrase. I don't know. I just want it to go away. Can I feel for myself? Right there. And all those
Yeah.
just like me who just want it to go away.
Yeah, hard to sit with that feeling in your body and just
Yes, a lot of people don't
notice
like.
it.
I will tell you honestly, Robin, that grows over time. And we get more, anybody who's practiced, Courtney, I'm looking at you, Chris, I'm looking at you. We know, right, that if we stay with it and stay with it, it eventually becomes just nourishment for our compassionate heart. Because the compassionate heart feeds on suffering. And then we just open more. It feeds on suffering. Isn't that spectacular?
Yeah,
Like the Cookie
right.
Monster. Eats it up, eats it up. Give me over there. Give me where that, right? The compassionate heart feeds on the truth of suffering and the real wish for its end. And so we just stay with it. And then, of course, what you'll notice, Robin, like we all do, is that sadness is not all there is. It's not what stays. There can be compassion co-arising eventually with the truth of suffering. And that is a greater container. It can hold the sadness and not be eaten up by it.
There was a saying the other day that I can't remember the exact thing, but it said, feel with compassion, not empathy,
Yes,
because the empathy just absorbs you in someone else's problems.
that's right.
Whereas
You
the
take on the
compassion,
suffering. That's right. You take
yeah,
it
you
on, you
take
just
on,
now got double.
yeah,
You're double in suffering. Empaths, have a tendency to recognize suffering, but don't know how to use it. And so they drown in it. They over-identify is actually what empaths do. They don't have sufficient boundary around it. They forget their own capacities and get toppled by
right,
that. It's actually not compassion, by the way. That is not actually
right,
compassion. It becomes things like pity and even more likely fear. Like, uh-oh, I'm going to get run over quickly by that person's suffering because I'm not stable sufficiently. I'm not mindful sufficiently myself. And so then I get caught up in it. And we understand that as a level of attachment, by the way. I need you to be okay so that I can be okay. And empaths, I don't know if any of you know this, I'm not going to get into therapy, but empaths typically pick narcissists and borderlines as people to connect with because they demand. Hi, Chris. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't really talking to Chris, but he gave himself away. Yeah, you pick somebody who's going to use you, don't you? You manage to find them in a crowd. You manage to, they find you too, because, well, I'm going to try to
That's,
work on you. I'm going to try to fix you. I'm going to try to rescue you. Now that's different than our practice. Our practice says, I know you are capable as I am capable. And
yep.
be
I've
my
done that for the
supporter.
last 30 years
That's
with
right.
my marriage.
That's right. That's right. I see Felicia putting up a hand. Well, evidently we've hit on a topic here, folks, haven't we? Felicia, what?
Something we need to work on.
I guess this is where our work is. Felicia, what do you want to say?
I just wanted to say, I have some freedom from this area. I totally can relate to what Tanya said and what you were just saying. Totally lived most of my life as an empath and was with many narcissists. But, in the last 2.5 years, I've truly been working on it, and I've been in some really deep codependency training classes. I don't know, and exactly what you just said. It's just amazing the feeling of freedom. I didn't realize that that was like almost, I wasn't feeling my feelings. I was afraid to feel my feelings, and now I am. And it's amazing. And we've learned exactly what you just said, like that you don't when you're empathizing too much and taking on someone else's feelings, then you can't help them. And so you just need to say, you have this, you can do this, and provide that kind of support, not try to, like you said, fix them or
No,
unless you're a trained psychologist, yeah, you're just trying to show them that they can fix themselves and that it's somewhere inside, and that you're here for support, but not for
fixing.
allowing them to just go on and,
Right.
and reliving
your
the
boundaries
trauma.
are there naturally, and you get to offer. What did we say? You have to be stable, balanced, and okay yourself first. And the codependent, we'll use that word. It's a little more a therapized word, but for the empath, we'll say what their tendency is to fix others to be okay themselves, rather than work on themselves and then offer that to others. And that's why we never go out till we are engaged, present, breathing for oneself. And that's where most of us have to start for a while, because we can't even tolerate our own sadness, Robin said. We can't even tolerate our own confusion. We can't tolerate our own uncertainty, right? And then we get there, run right smack into Joe over there and go, well, maybe I can fix that for you, Joe. And then maybe you'll love me enough, right, that you fix me. Whoops. Who's noticed that program doesn't work? Yeah, hands. Yeah, doesn't work, folks, right? And everybody's been there. Everybody's been there. If you're not raising your hand, it's because you're not on the screen. That's all. You've tried it too. I've tried it too. Right? Especially us little resourceful ones. Boy, we love getting in there. Yeah, don't we? Ooh, get me in. I'll fix you. I'll get you the degree. I'll get you the house. I'll get you the garden. Let me do it for you. And then when you're okay, you'll love me. And then I'll know I'm worth something. Nope. By the way, folks, look at the faces on the screen. Anybody? Does it work? Does it ever work? Should you continue? Right? Look at those no's. Not continue. You are worthy, however, of your own love, your own care, and your own attention. And you are. And that will fix everything. You are worthy. Don't give it away. right? Don't do it. What a waste of time. And then you just are a resource. Then you are a host, but not because you're being eaten up, because you are so abundant. You have it to offer. And then when you don't, you don't. It's okay. You come right back to yourself, just like we did in this practice. So who can take at least 5 times a day to drop in for those couple of breaths? If you confront pleasant, make the offer. If you confront the sadness, stay with yourself. And then when ready, I don't know, maybe in 2028, I don't know when this will be, you will feel not only for you, but those others who know sadness like this, and that will naturally happen. The open heart only expands. It never diminishes. Isn't that what we said at the end? It never diminishes. It's not possible. Right? And so we're all going to practice this together and in that togetherness. And that is what we're going to be working on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We're going to be working on these very skills because it's so easy to forget. And then people are going to say to me on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we're still doing this? Yes. This is the one, we're still here? Just breathing in? Yeah, that's still the one. We're still doing it. And a day later, or 2 days later, or a half a day later, see how clear you have become. Wait a minute, not this one. This one I better breathe right in for me. And then, when stable, I can make the offering. All right, everyone. Well, I didn't know we were going to have this much fun today. I'm very excited to have you all here. These teachings are profound, by the way. They're 26 plus 100 years old, and we are still working on them, aren't we all? We're still working on them, all of us. 2,600 years. We're still all doing it because we know that this is the path. We're 100% clear. And this is the same reason we take extra time in a day, in a week, on a weekend to practice them too. All right, everyone, if we can bring our hands together to our heart, hold ourselves and each other in this vast, wide, open, and boundless space. We breathe in for ourselves. Send it throughout the whole mind, body being. Buddha be, Christ be, God indwelling, awareness itself. Call it what you will. And in that goodness, we then get bigger and bigger and bigger until we are holding the whole of the world in this one open heart. And may we remember and continue to do so one breath at a time. That is all. And may we bow to that goodness. My love to you. I'll look forward to seeing you when I do. Hopefully this weekend. If you haven't signed up yet, no fear, no fear. There's room for you. No excuse, just sign up. You're so welcome, everyone. Renee, good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. Carolyn, good to see you as well. All right, everyone. Breathe through this day. I'll see you soon.